Zookeepers of Reddit, what's the lowdown, dirty, inside scoop on zoos? Rhinos may look super intimidating, and they can hurt you, but really they just act like big dogs. They love being scratched and will eat all the fruit out of your hand. Some people like to bring fruit and stuff to throw into the animals' cages, even though they're not supposed to. If you're around and someone throws a pineapple into the gorilla or chimpanzee dens, GTFO, they will throw that thing full blast at someone. I saw a man get hit full force right in the side of the head and he was lights out. Pineapple exploded on impact, paramedics came and everything. I volunteer at an aquarium and the people always ask about whether the sharks that are in with the fish ever eat the fish. Officially we say, we keep them well fed enough that they don't. But on more than one morning on my initial walk around I have found remains of fish that definitely weren't feed fish. On a particularly memorable occasion I found the head of a large porgy just sitting on the bottom. A diver went in and got it before guests arrived. I work with dolphins. These creatures are sexual as fuck. We have two smaller boys together and they've been seen stimulating each other. Our three female dolphins have freshwater hoses that lead into the pool to play with. They flip themselves upside down, lay on the surface, and let the water do its thing. We also have another male dolphin separate from the others that likes to show his dick to families. Pretty funny to watch tbh. Dolphins are weird. Dead zoo animals are sometimes fed to carnivores. There's a farm/zoo in the UK that uses crocodiles to get rid of dead cows. The owner once said he'd like the same ant when he dies. We closed the baboon exhibit because a baboon had a stillbirth and the troop was grieving. In reality they were throwing parts of the infant corpse around and there was nothing we could do about it. The poor penguin keepers can never quite get rid of the miasma of dead fish that envelopes them. As for me, the stinkiest job I ever had to do was cleaning out the duck ponds. Managed to empty a whole train carriage that evening, even though I had changed and my work clothes were double bagged. Partner was a zookeeper in Dallas. Safety protocols for when a large, dangerous animal escapes its enclosure dictate that you lock yourself in whatever room you can get to quickest and grab the nearest weapon, which, for most zookeepers, was a broom or rake for cleaning up animal poop. I worked in two completely different departments, elephants and neonates, but the drama between keepers was insane in both. Like, attempted murder level insane. I worked with large tortoises. We had these 5-gallon buckets for cleaning the poop out of enclosures and other buckets for feeding them fresh grass we cut. The first day on the job I took both buckets into the pen and started by dumping out the grass. Then I went around to collect poop. I heard this awful loud grunting and something breaking. One of the 300-pound males tried to bang the bucket in front of visitors and flattened it. He would even follow me around just in case I might leave more innocent buckets unattended. If you work with the animals there's a good chance you'll not be able to have any kind of social life. Between the long hours/weekends and the stench, I've been kicked out of stores after work because I apparently stunk way worse than I thought I did, even after scrubbing off ! And I'm around animals every day, but I still can't stand when otter, sea lion keepers are around me in all hands meetings. The rotten fish plus ferrety otter smell combo is a gagger. Meanwhile, I work with apes, and they say that I smell like I haven't showed in a decade, again. Even after I shower. Our lions will urinate on guests if they get too close, which is always funny to see. Not so funny to smell. Our camels will spit if you piss them off, and it's not just saliva like most people think. You really don't want to upset our camels. If you have any plans the rest of the week, please and thank you. Not quite a zookeeper but in training to be one! The zebras and Przewalski's horses are ruthless and will tear apart any unfortunate wild kangaroo that dares break into an enclosure. They love the thrill of the chase and the subsequent kill when they get bored. Former coworker got a job at the aquarium. He was basically the night watchman, making sure nothing exploded when the aquarium was closed. The thing is, he can't actually do anything about it. A ray jumped out of the open touch pool, so he gently picked it up and set it back in the tank. No harm done. Ray is fine. He got chewed the fuck out for handling an animal. Policy is to call the expert handler for that department and have them come in, to avoid any liability and whatnot. By the time you get them to pick up the phone at 3 a.m., get up, and drive into the city it'll be like 40 minutes at best, assuming they came in at all. So his job was really to just stand there staring as the animal suffocated. He ended up quitting when he tried to call out sick because he had the flu so bad he literally couldn't stand up straight, and part of the job was to walk the narrow hanging walkway over the largest tank in the world, which includes sharks, alone, at night. And they told him to come in anyway. Fun fact about the local zoo I learned when I worked maintenance: there is a wolf enclosure. There is info about the wolves. It's maintained. They are just shy / in their shelter ATM. There are no wolves. Never was. My wife was a zookeeper and I used to volunteer there a lot. 1. Most of zookeeping is just picking up poop and making/delivering food. 2. The animal that was least scary was a cheetah. They were pretty cool ignoring everything as long as they had food. The most scary to me were the giraffes. Back then you went into the enclosure with them and they'd sometimes swing their heads around and try to hit you just to be pricks. You had to be careful. 3. The job would actually be fantastic if they didn't let people into the zoo. Not a zookeeper, but I'm a zoologist. Aquariums have captive breeding programs for some of the dolphins and whales, but they are too difficult to transport for mating, so they have to use artificial insemination, which requires semen samples from whales, which means that it's someone's job to give hand jobs to dolphins and whales in order to collect the sperm. It's part of the animal's training, and the whales will roll over and present their genitals on command. I spoke to a zookeeper at the National Zone in DC. We were watching another keeper inside the cheetah enclosure and I asked him about the danger involved. He said a cheetah is harmless to an adult human because it only hunts smaller creatures. I asked which creature was the worst to go in with, expecting hippo, elephant or croc as an answer. Without hesitating he said zebras, then leaned close and whispered they are the biggest assholes. They will bite and kick for no reason. I still think it's hilarious that off all the teeth and claws out there, it's stripped donkey horses that are the worst. When you're cleaning underneath the perches, parrots will wait for you to look up before taking a shit. They have a good aim. That's how you get shit in the mouth. Don't look up. I heard about this from a co-worker at a small zoo I used to work at. If any animal escapes before the zoo opens to the public, the zoo is supposed to shut down completely for the day. Often though for smaller zoos they can't afford to lose a day open to the public, so if some specific types of animals escape, such as reptiles or small animals, they will just keep open while having keepers look for the animal. This sort of thing wouldn't fly by me on my days as a keeper. I never had anything escape other than a harmless tortoise, but I remember hearing from other coworkers that they just listened to our boss and opened even though a small but somewhat venomous snake was on the loose. My mom worked at a zoo when I was a kid and there were some things that were kept under wraps. For one, a hyena escaped once and they had to track it down. Also, a pack of dogs got into the zoo and killed most of the wallabies. The worst story was that a group of teenagers broke in the 80s and pulled the legs off of the flamingos. That one always really bothered me. I'm a small animal vet now but worked in a zoo before vet school. Zoos are one of the biggest purchasers of Calvin Klein's Obsession cologne. The cologne has animal musk in it and it drives the big cats wild. We used to spray it on everything. Worked in an animal refuge in Bolivia. We were told on our first day not to let the tapir turn its back on you. Forgetting that vital piece of info, 3 days later I was filming the tapir as it starts to turn its back on me and my friend. Before we could react, its schlong did a 180 and projectile cummed all over my phone and gaping mouth. We couldn't get rid of the smell for days. If you ever come close to a tapir, do not let it turn its back on you. If you have worked with them then you probably already know, but one swift kick from an ostrich can kill you. Like they will literally disembowel you. Every time I see a video of someone getting up close to one, I can't help but cringe. One of our head keepers had actually lost part of their ear to one. Not a zookeeper but worked in a zoo's warehouse for a couple years. Next time you go, ask someone which animals are a kill on sight and an escape. The answers will surprise you. Lions and tigers are typically on the track and capture list, but a jaguar the size of a golden retriever is close. The zoo I was with, the 2 jags were the only animals on site that were on the shoot to kill list. Even the silverback was the track first list. Editor to answer why. Jags will kill for sport, and if they escape they will claim an area as their own, then hunt and kill anyone in that area that they perceive as a threat to them, or their food. All those videos of jags rubbing their paws on the glass near children, they weren't hungry, the kids just look fun to kill to the jag. I had to draft the zoo's contingency plan for all sorts of emergencies. Flood, tornado, extreme heat, war or attacks, you name it. The plan included a prioritized list of which animals in the collection we would have to sacrifice to feed to the other animals in extreme situations. I literally created a zoo food chain. Humans were left off the list entirely. I used to work at one as a university student. We found a human finger in the tiger enclosure, but nobody stated they had their finger bitten off, employee or guest. So where did it come from? The old zookeeper just shrugged and tossed it in the garbage. WTF? I quit when I caught a virus from the lion-tailed macaques. Thanks for listening. Subscribe for more daily videos.